So in this series I work on training a new diver not only to increase his or her breath hold dramatically, but to be far more effective at shooting fish within that limit or time window, whatever that may be. Without fish sense, even the greatest freedivers on earth wouldn't be able to find and spear their target species at the level of someone with an understanding of fish habitat and behaviour. So in this episode we'll go over an entire spearfishing setup from head to toe. And you know, if you're just starting out, it should sort of alleviate a few mind blocks that people get around gear. It's very important that you get all of the right gear right from the start so you can hunt and dive comfortably and effectively. I did it the opposite. I started off in stubbies with a pig knife and I really struggled. Stiff blades, a bad suit, a leaky mask, those things are going to have a huge impact on your ability to freedive and hunt efficiently. So it's important that you get set up right. So there are several options on where to purchase your spearfishing gear when you're setting up for spearfishing. Where you decide to buy will depend on your location and what you've got available to you. Firstly, there are dedicated spearfishing stores. So dedicated spearfishing stores should have knowledgeable staff to get your kit organised. Also giving you tips on the local area as well, and what the water's doing and what fish are like and what hunting's like in your local area. Secondly, there are generic dive stores. Now, they're generally focused on scuba diving. However, good dive stores will stock and have knowledge on spearfishing and freediving gear. And the good thing about them is that they'll allow you to try gear on, and they're usually pretty good at fitting you as well. And also they do generally have a bit of knowledge around hunting in your local area. Your third option is to order your gear online. Now, this option is often always the cheapest, but it's not recommended for your first setup. This is because spearfishing gear is really subjective to your body shape, your face shape, weight requirements, and blade stiffness requirements, and also the species of fish that you're going to be targeting. It's recommended that you visit a store unless that option isn't available to you. If that's the case, stores can often use your body weight and your measurements to post out your kit. It may work the first time, or it may take some trial and error to sort of get everything fitting right, but having your gear fit right is really important for enjoyable diving. So it's sort of worth putting in the time and effort to getting kitted up correctly right from the start. Once you have some diving experience, you'll get to know what gear you like and begin to get an idea of your sizing as well. Then it's way easier to go online and select good gear and gear that's worked well for you. What I'd recommend if you're going online is finding a supplier with a good return policy. That's always going to be a bonus, so you can try gear on and send it back if it's not right. Let's start from the beginning. Mask and snorkel. A high quality mask can last for over 10 years, and it's extremely important you get your mask right. There are a lot of types of mask available for the simple reason that there are so many different face shapes. Now, the main things that I would look for in a mask are the fit, the volume, and then vision, and I'll select a mask in that order. So to fit a mask, you simply place it on your face, suck in through your nose, and a well-fitting mask should easily suck in tightly with no air making its way into the mask. Now, if you've got a moustache like me, Vaseline's a good trick to rub on a moustache. That sort of prevents air leakage through the hair. Now, you're going to want to do that when you're testing masks, and always do that prior to diving, otherwise you're going to have a painful dive with bubbles and water coming into your mask. It's also important to make sure your mask isn't impacting or digging on areas of the nose or face. Generally, like the bridge up here and down, some people that have a big nose will get impacting in through here. Now, mask squeeze at depth is natural, so what you're going to want to do is push the mask firmly towards your face when you're trying it on. So a well-fitting mask should not leak air, and it should be comfortable under pressure. Now, if you watch quite a few internet videos on spearfishing and freediving, you probably hear people talking about mask volume. What that is the amount of air that's inside the mask. So some freediving masks, it's specifically low volume. This is because the mask compresses at depth. A freediver will often fill the mask slightly by pushing small amounts of air out their nose to reduce pressure in the mask. Now, this is really handy when spearfishing because obviously a compressed mask will affect your vision and your comfort at depth. So a lower volume mask requires less air out of your nose to manage this mask pressure. And this is why low volume masks are preferred by some freedivers. So all masks are going to limit your peripheral vision to a certain extent. However, some masks are going to be better than others in this regard. This may be a deciding factor for you. So pays to know that when we're hunting, we're continuously scanning our heads side to side. So peripheral vision is an inferior trait in a mask compared to fit and comfort, but it may be a deciding factor for you if you've got 3 or 4 masks that fit really well and are comfortable. Colour is another consideration when choosing a mask. The majority of masks used while spearfishing are black. These can be better than masks that are lined with clear material, as clear line masks let light through the sides, creating glare on the inside of the lens. This can affect your overall vision, so black is generally preferred. Black masks, as opposed to brightly coloured and clear masks, can also help with concealment if you're stalking through kelp or reef. Shadows are a lot easier to match when it comes to camouflage than colours, so darker is generally always better. In this section we will be talking about rubber powered spear guns, which have bands that are loaded by the diver, as opposed to pneumatic air powered spear guns. Rubber powered spear guns are considered to be superior to pneumatic guns, and I would highly recommend sticking to this type for ease of use, effectiveness, accuracy, power and simplicity. Your spear gun is going to be the business end of your spearfishing kit, so it pays to get this right from the very start. A good spear gun that is capable of tackling the species that you intend to target will help to prevent wounding and losing fish, and will outlast the majority of your dive gear. There is so much information and debate around spear guns that I will deliberately keep this section as simple as possible, as the reality is that in this day and age, that the large gun brands in the market are incredibly effective at doing what they do, and the majority of the work lies with the diver. As the saying goes, it is the Indian, not the arrow. However, getting set up with an underpowered or overpowered gun for your target species or dive location can make things really difficult. An underpowered gun will simply not reach out and penetrate the fish that you're targeting, while an overpowered gun can be hard to load, bulky, and can affect your hunting technique. It can also blunten on hard surfaces after passing through reef or cave dwelling fish. Two main factors work in conjunction to create power in a spear gun. Firstly, the length of the gun, and secondly, the length and thickness of the rubber or rubbers. And also you can add to that the weight or thickness and length of the spear shaft as well. So spear guns can be quite short, 50 centimeters long or shorter for targeting reef fish, and upwards of 1.5 meters long for targeting large game fish like tuna and marlin. I'd recommend gaining an insight into what sort of table fish you're likely to encounter where you're diving, and your local dive store will be incredibly helpful with recommending your sort of ideal setup. As an example, I do the majority of my diving around Auckland, New Zealand. I've always used 120 centimeter length guns, and I've found them to do the job well. The majority of what we target is your great eating reef fish like pink mau mau and small reefies, and we do target snapper. Snapper get up to sort of 20 pounds plus, and also kingfish, which are generally around that sort of 10 to 20 kilo mark, but they can get in excess of 100 pounds. So this brings me to my next topic, what the guns are made of. Now generally spear gun tubes are made from one of 3 materials: alloy, wood or carbon fibre, and I've used all 3 and I don't have many complaints. My alloy guns have always been excellent all-rounders, and I started with one and I've been using one recently as well. I've also owned a wooden teak gun, and I've used this for several years. This gun was slightly heavier in the water, and I found it harder to track fish horizontally. However, I did enjoy using it, and I found the setup to be really easy to aim and accurate. The downside was the fact that the teak wood had to be oiled every so often. My main gun at the moment is a carbon fibre gun that I've really grown to like.